What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera, and sitting before us is the 2024 Volkswagen Jetta GLI 40th Anniversary Edition. And if you know me, if you've been watching the channel for years, you know that I used to have a GLI just like this, minus the 40th Anniversary Edition. So this one will be a pretty exciting review for the both of us. Now, throughout this video, we're going to take a look at the exterior as well as the interior, pop the hood and check out the trunk, and at the end, we're going to strap this GoPro to my head and take it for a test drive. This one is finished in pure gray with a black cloth interior, and we also have the 7-speed dual clutch transmission on this one, just to give you an idea what we're looking at. First things first, let's take a look at the headlamps, which are LED units for the high and low beams. We also have LED daytime running lights, and our turn signals are up there as well. Taking a look down here for the GLI facelift, we have these little red rings on the sides, which gives us a pretty nice accent, as well as a typical red line that goes through the center of the grille. We of course have the nice large Volkswagen emblem and the GLI emblem too. Very complimenting color for this car, this pure gray. It has the slightest bit of metallic in it, but it's just this kind of battleship gray color. It looks great on this car. Pretty nice creases on the hood that leads into the grille, and some special 18-inch black painted wheels for the 40th Anniversary Edition. We could see the nice red painted brake calipers sticking through, and we have 225/45 tires on this car. Hankook all seasons, that is. We have our GLI 40th Anniversary badging, blacked out mirror covers, as well as black all the way around our windows. And we have a slick top, meaning we don't have the sunroof on this one. We have the Volkswagen spelled out on the B pillar. And getting back to our mirrors real quickly, we have blind spot warning as well as LED indicators. Our door handles are also painted this kind of metallic black color, which is pretty neat. And the front two will have the smart key entry system. Taking a look at our window sticker, we can see a couple of accessories added on, such as the nicer auto dimming mirror, all-weather floor mats, prepaid maintenance, things like that. Total sticker price for this particular car is $31,436. Shark fin antenna back here. And that leads me to our taillights, which are LED powered, just like the front. So our taillights, turn signals, and brake lights are all LED powered. Looks very nice, all lit up. We have a very subtle metallic black painted spoiler on the deck lid. Our GLI badging, some black accents down here, and some pretty large chrome exhaust tips, which do sound pretty good, I will say. A little bit quiet, but we will get a sound of the exhaust in just a minute. We of course have our Volkswagen emblem, and just below we have a trunk release and your reversing camera. So what do we think of the GLI 40th Anniversary as far as styling? I personally think this looks great, but again, I am a little bit partial since I own one of these. Popping the hood on the GLI, we have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, good for 228 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, just enough power to have some fun with, and definitely stay tuned for the test drive where we will have a little bit of fun with this car. But we have front-wheel drive with us, and that is the only drivetrain option available. But two different transmissions. We have the 7-speed dual clutch automatic with us today, and you can also get a 6-speed manual. Under the hood, nice and tidy, we do have a hood prop that's held up towards the top, but lots of sound deadening material and color coded, like the oil dipstick, and the oil filter is also very easy accessible, and also the windshield washer fluid, and the battery is underneath the hood. right, so the trunk does pop open nicely when you press the button on the key. And we have a pretty sizable trunk on the Jetta GLI. Definitely a large opening, and once you get inside, it goes in nice and deep. You also have these little handles here that you could pull to fold down the rear seats at a 60-40 split. We have a nice all-weather cargo mat back here as well, and once you lift that up, you can see another kind of basic carpet and spare tire and tools back here too. But that pretty much does it back here. It is rather basic, and once you're done, you have handles to either side where you can just close it right on down. Alrighty, opening up the rear door is kind of where the Jetta shines because there's a lot of room back here. But let's take a look at the rear door panel first. So we do have some pretty hard touch plastics on the top of the door, but it does even out to a nice soft armrest back here. We do have a speaker on the rear door, and that is one of 6 in the 40th anniversary edition. We have a big storage pocket back here too, and take a look at this cloth on the seats. Very, very neat pattern to these rear seats, and just lots and lots of room back here. You even have some red piping and just this really neat kind of design for the rear seats, and even the carpeted floor mats have that red piping on it too. Now we, of course, as you saw earlier, can fold down the rear seats at a 60-40 split, but you can also fold down this little armrest here with a couple of cup holders. And I'm gonna hop in to see to show you guys how much room back here for a guy my size. I'm about 5'10". This seat is adjusted to a normal and comfortable seating position for myself, and take a look at that. Pretty good amount of space. I'd say at least 3 inches of legroom for someone my size. The back seats in the Jetta is actually a really comfortable place to be. Now, there's not a whole lot of amenities back here. There's not even really chargers for anything, but the rear seats are definitely very comfortable. That is one thing it's got going for it. And you also have a great view of the front. All right, checking out the front cabin, our driver's door has quite a bit more going on, and quite an upgrade to the materials too. So first off, we have soft touch up here, so if you like to rest your elbow up there, you'll have no issue. We have this pretty neat red accented trim that you'll see throughout the front of the cabin, plus some gloss black surrounding your door handle and the lock and lock button. We also have some red stitching, a good amount of it, on the door panel here with your nice soft armrest. We have the child lockout for the rear, all your normal window controls, one touched up, down and up for all windows, and then your normal heated mirror adjustments. And we also have a trunk release towards the bottom, a little bit of a larger storage area, and another speaker on the driver's door. The left of the dash, just below your air vent, you have some more of that cool trim, your automatic headlight control right there, and the release for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. Just below, we have some pretty neat looking aluminum accented pedals and our hood release. And taking a further look back, we have a GLI 40th anniversary sill plate. Now, both front seats are manually adjusted, but they, again, just like the rear, have that really neat pattern with red stitching, red piping, and just a pretty neat pattern for the bottom and backrest. Now we have a height adjustment right here for the seat, as well as the backrest adjustment, and you can see a little lever down there towards the floor. That is for the back and forth, so at least you have a pretty good range of adjustability for your driver's seat. So here's the key for the GLI. We have some nice chrome accents towards the top and the bottom with the Volkswagen emblem. And if you flip it over, we have the lock, unlock, trunk release, and the panic alarm. And you can also get a physical key out from the top by just sliding this little portion over, and the key will slide right out in case you need one. But we of course have push button start, and it's right down here. you do get a nice little sound of the 4-cylinder turbo when it starts up. But let's take a look at what's right in front of us, and it's this beautiful leather wrapped steering wheel. We have kind of smooth leather at the top and the bottom with our 40th anniversary script, and some kind of dimpled leather at your side grips, so that's pretty neat. We also have our plus and minus paddle shifters, of course, attached to the steering wheel, and kind of hidden out of way a little bit, but you can definitely see them peeking over the top of the steering wheel spokes. Over here we have all of our adaptive cruise control settings, as well as a little slider for your audio volume. As you can see, it does work pretty good, but we do have some touch sensitive buttons on the steering wheel. They kind of give you a little haptic feedback, but they are gloss black, which means they attract a lot of fingerprints. So a little gripe on the interior about that. But that really is the only gripe I have about this car at all. So that's a pretty good that's the only thing I have to complain about. Over here we have a bunch of buttons to reconfigure your digital display. We also have voice commands and the option to change between different radio stations. But overall, very attractive looking wheel with some subtle black accents and the little 40 emblem. On the back of the wheel we have your turn signals, also high beams, and a little button at the back to configure your driving assistance functions. And on the other side we have our wipers. Now up here we have our fully reconfigurable dash here. So this is a really neat and very nice setup. We kind of have 3 different views. So if you press the view button right here, we have the more traditional one set up right here, and then you can also customize what you see in the center. We have our coolant temperature over here and our gas gauge, which are going to stay permanent. But if we press that view button, we can go to a kind of more focused view. Press it once more. We have some more trip settings and things like that to either side. Also what the radio is doing. And if we press view once more, that'll bring us back to our regular screen setup. But let's go back to this view, the kind of focused one, for just a minute, since I'll show you what is reconfigurable. So you can press the page back and forth, as well as the up and down buttons, to get different information within that view. So you can see the assist systems, a compass, what's going on with your radio and phone, also your vehicle status, so your auto start stop and things like that. But then you can also press the down arrow on your driving data and kind of get a bunch of different information like energy consumption, your current speed, oil temperature, trip computers, real-time economy, and just an overview, which is pretty nice. Kind of gives you a trip overview, so your distance on the trip, hours, all that good stuff. So pretty neat. And then it also will give you at all times a digital clock, as well as what driving mode that you're in. So very nice digital dash here. I think we'll keep it up just like this for our test drive. Taking a look up here, we have a nice soft to the touch dash with some stitching that goes all the way across, and that brings me to our center touchscreen, which is pretty nice. A little bit small, I guess, nowadays, but it is definitely a pretty nice setup. We have our kind of home screen here, and it does have some kind of controls where you can just swipe back and forth, which is pretty cool. We have our audio screen with our presets that'll pop up right here, kind of a physical tune that you could put there as well. You can also change it to show all of the station information too, and all of your sources are right here. And you can also get a station list. We have a tune knob and a volume knob, both physical, which is very nice to see. We have our media screen as well as our phone screen. Voice activation right here. And we can press the app button to get right to your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. We have our sound settings that you can quickly adjust there. Also some car information, kind of like a vehicle status. If you have any low tire pressures, that will show up here. You can go to your driving data, which more or less has a lot to do with your trip information and your distance till empty for the fuel. And one last thing, you can also adjust what you see in the center of the gauges for the digital cockpit, which is pretty cool. We also have some sport displays. As you can see, We have over here your turbo boost pressure, real-time G meter, and torque in, or I should say power in kilowatts, which is pretty interesting. And then you can also pull up a digital coolant temperature. As you notice, when I put my finger near the screen, all of the settings pop up, so it'll give you kind of like a full screen when you're not going to touch anything, but as soon as you get your finger near it, all your settings will pop up, so you can press whatever you like. The menu brings you back home, and there are a couple of things that doesn't have shortcuts within the screen. We have our driver's assistance menu. We can kind of tap on each one to select. It's a pretty neat solution for that. App Connect again has to do with your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, vehicle settings. We also have a physical one for the sound settings, and you can also adjust the climate control too, which is pretty neat from the screen. Though rest assured, we have a full set of physical climate controls, so we don't need to go through the screen for that. But nice to give you nice that they give you a little backup. Over here we have some settings and CarNet and all that good stuff. We can also swipe from the top to get our gauge cluster dimming, also mute our audio, and also get guidance to your home, and different sound settings and notifications, things like that in the upper menu. But that pretty much does it for the center touchscreen. Let's take a look down here where we see our hazards button and passenger airbag indicator. We also have a nice dual zone climate control, very simple. So we have our temperatures here and here, fan speed right in the center, heated seats to either side, and also where the air blows with the recycling. We can also sync both the temperatures and bring up the climate menu by just pressing that button. Of course, it is automatic, so you just set a temperature and forget it. And then we also have our defrosters in the center of this temperature control, and our AC settings in the other side. Down here we have a nice little pad where you can rest your phone with some 2 USB-C chargers. And we have our transmission lever. Now this isn't automatic. As I said before, you can get a 6-speed manual, but for right now we have the 7-speed dual clutch. Pretty nice accents around the shifter, and nice you know, stitching for the leather too. But as we pull it down into reverse, we have a pretty nice backup camera with some adjustments. And we of course have the neutral and drive. Everything will kind of light up on the top of the shift lock knob there. And we can bump it over into the manual mode, where we could use the shifter or the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. A couple more controls down here worth mentioning. We have the start-stop button for the engine. We have the electronic parking brake, foot on the brake, pick up to activate, and press down to deactivate. We also have our deactivation for the auto start-stop feature and the traction control down here, as well as a mode selection button. So we have a couple of different modes: Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, and Custom. And then you can also adjust your custom driving mode, which is pretty awesome. You can see we can lock the differential for some sporty driving, or even if you're driving in the wintertime in the snow, that'll be good for that as well. You customize the engine sound coming in from the engine there, so that is a pretty, you can even restrict your climate control in the custom setting. That's pretty neat. We do have a 12-volt power outlet over here too. I guess some people still use that for kind of external navigation systems. And take a look at the cup holders. We have GLI 1984, so that is a pretty neat touch to the 40th anniversary edition of the GLI. Now the new style Jetta has a pretty nice size center console. You lift it up, pretty good amount of space in there. You even have a USB-C charger, and I'm noticing on the sides of the seat you even have a little GLI 40 logo there. Pretty cool design of the seats too. Nice trim on the dash too, with the subtle red accents. Pretty big glove box in there too, with you know, all smooth plastic, plenty of room for all kinds of junk, and a full black headliner with your visors that fold down. You can open them up to mirrors and card holders. We also have our lighting up here too, some more lighting controls and informational SOS buttons as well. Pretty nice frameless mirror with your garage door openers, as well as a compass too. Well, that pretty much does it for the interior of the GLI and the features for that. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Alrighty, so getting going in the 2024 GLI. We're gonna start off our test drive in comfort mode, since we do have the dynamic chassis control on this car. So that will kind of loosen up and firm up the dampers as need be. So I wanna get a feel for it in our comfort mode at least. And then we could switch over to the sport mode with the stiffest damper settings. Now, I'm gonna leave the performance display up so you kind of monitor that at your will. And just getting along at, you know, somewhere between 45 and 50 miles an hour on this kind of 2-lane highway. It is very comfortable up at these speeds. You know, the steering wheel is very nice to hold in your hands. It's got good 10 and 3, or I should say 9 and 3 grips. And it's also pretty quiet. You get a little bit of humming of the tires, but really nothing more. The mirrors are quiet. You don't really hear a whole lot of wind noise from other cars. And the comfort level is very, very nice. Now at this time, I'm going to make the switch to sport mode, as our acceleration test is coming up right on this road here. As you can see, it's always keeping us in a sort of more higher RPM situation in the sport mode. And off we go. So what I'll do is I'll kick it over into manual mode. We will put it into first gear and we'll see what happens. Fighting for grip this car is, but it did a pretty good job getting a good amount of grip. It's definitely got power, no question about that. Just enough power to have fun with, the 228 horsepower that the GTI and GLI has had for years and years now. But you can definitely feel the torque. It's definitely a down low RPM range engine, so 258 pound-feet of torque on this car. And so pretty good acceleration, definitely enough to put a little smile on your face. Now that we're in sport mode, you could definitely feel a difference in those dampers. That's very nice to see. The steering weightens up ever so slightly, and the throttle response also becomes a little bit more interactive. But yeah, you could definitely feel the road a little bit more, and it definitely stiffens up quite a bit. Seven-speed dual clutch is lightning fast to shift. Although we don't have the 6-speed manual, this is the next best thing. That 7-speed dual clutch is a fantastic transmission for both sporty driving and fast shifts, and also for economy purposes too. It's always keeping the RPMs nice and low to get you that gas mileage, but as soon as you flip the shifter down like so into sport, it is ready to take action. Not a bad ride in the dampers stiffest section, but you could definitely tell the difference. Actually, quite the welcome difference. Very, very solid ride as well in both modes. Now in sport mode, we get a bit of piped in engine noise, so that's why it's gotten a little bit louder. There's really no change, no kind of dual mode exhaust or anything like that. But at least you get a little bit more induction noise in here when changing it to sport. Lots of road work going on our test drive route today, but really only one thing I wanted to talk about to wrap up this video is the seats. Now, my GLI was an Autobahn, which had the leather seats. which always gave me a bit of a trouble on my lower back with long trips. But these cloth seats actually feel a lot more comfy than the leather ones did in my old GLI, so that's definitely a plus. But that pretty much does it for the 2024 GLI 40th anniversary edition. Thank each and every one of you for watching, and I hope you stick with us here on Ty Drives for the next video.